Welcome everyone to another edition of NFL IDP injury updates. Happy Wednesday, everybody. And that's right, on Wednesdays, we talk real football. That's right, we're focusing on the defense today. So we're looking at the biggest IDP injuries heading into week 10. Let's go ahead and get it started. We'll kick it off with the biggest one. We got Eagles linebacker Nakobe Dean. Looks like he may be headed to the IR again for the second time, and it's another foot injury. He already was on the IR earlier in the season with a foot injury, and now he's been diagnosed with a Lisfranc sprain. So Lisfranc, that denotes the area of your foot. It's your midfoot. We typically hear of those very bad Lisfranc injuries. That refers to a fracture to one of the bones or a full tear of one of those ligaments in the midfoot. This is just a midfoot sprain, however, so it's not likely that he has dealing with any type of a fracture. He's going to see a foot specialist to really see what's going on here. It really just depends on the severity of the injury to that ligament, if surgery is going to be needed or not. Even if surgery is not going to be needed, with the expectation of the IR, this tells me that's likely a grade 2 injury. So you're looking at missing at least 4 weeks, if not closer to that 6 to 8 week range. So definitely some terrible news for the Eagles rookie, who's looked good when he's on the field, but he's really had tough time staying on the field. So unfortunately, I would not expect Nakobe Dean back in your lineup anytime soon. All right, moving along. We're going to talk about a Thursday night matchup here where we got the Panthers heading out to Chicago to take on the Bears. So star outside linebacker Brian Burns has already been ruled out with a concussion. So concussion refers to disruption to your brain function. Hit indirectly or directly to the head causes the brain to be in what we call an energy crisis. Now, it really is shown to affect negatively a player's reaction time, and as far as if they're able to make quick decisions and their decision-making on the field. The NFL this season has become very much more conservative with concussion protocol. Typically, the average return timeline was around 7 days before this season, but now this season, it's very rare that a player will come back in the same week or be able to play that next week. So when you have a guy who has a concussion, you can pretty much expect them at this point, except in rare cases, that guy is going to miss the following week. Obviously, we all saw the Brock Purdy thing. That was pretty, that was a little bit out of the ordinary for the NFL this season. Leading right into that, cornerback Adoree Jackson for the Giants dealing with a concussion. He did not practice today. I would not expect Adoree Jackson to be in your lineup. Again, concussions in the NFL this year, they're playing it extra cautious. Call it the Tua effect, which honestly, from the medical perspective, probably is a better thing because we know that the brain is in what we call a vulnerable state after a concussion, which is why it's so important to take those guys off the field immediately so they don't suffer a second concussion and make something worse. All right, moving on. Safety for the Steelers, Minkah Fitzpatrick. I talked about him a couple weeks ago when he picked up the injury. He's a DNP, did not practice today from that hamstring injury. That's pretty discouraging. Minkah, he did not practice at all last week leading up to that Steelers Thursday night football game against Will Levis and the Titans. The fact that he's not practicing again, it has some concerns for Minkah this week. You would expect at least a limited practice today if you're hopeful for him to return. Him not practicing today makes me not very optimistic that we're going to see Minkah Fitzpatrick back on the field. So do not expect Minkah, unfortunately, to be in your lineups this week. Another guy, so we're going to go ahead and end this with some better news, right? Let's talk about some guys returning. A lot of guys returning from the IR, designated to return from practice. So we've got 2 players here. We got New York Giants outside linebacker Azeez Ojuliari, Mr. Made of Glass, unfortunately. He's come back from a high ankle injury where, high ankle above the typical ankle joint, a little bit more serious than the low ankle joint, which was why he went directly to the IR. Typically a 4 to 6 week recovery timeline. Looks like he practices today in a limited capacity. Coach Brian Daboll was optimistic that he's a chance to return against the Cowboys this week. One of those situations you're going to want to monitor. But let's be honest. He picked up a hamstring injury already this year, the high ankle. Azeez has a very tough time just staying on the field. When he does stay on the field, he is proven to be one of their best pass rushers. I just don't know how confident I am for Azeez to stay on the field. And then another guy where I'm having a little bit more confidence is cornerback Stingley Jr. He went to the IR with a hamstring injury earlier in the year. Looks like he was a limited practice today. He was set to return. So somebody who you definitely want to monitor, see how he is in practice. If he kind of has a couple full practices there, they might be activated and be good to go. All right, guys, those are your top injuries for IDP injuries heading into week 10. If you want to learn any more about injuries, we're talking fantasy football, college football, IDP, just go ahead and give me a follow at SGPN Football Doc on Twitter. and on X and TikTok. And if you're listening to this video, you obviously care about real football. You care about defense. So I invite you to join myself and the IDP tipster, the IDP Godfather, Mr. Gary Van Dyke. We do a Sunday IDP live show every Sunday at noon, right before kickoff. That gives you your last-minute start sits, your waiver wire, gets you in there. We'll also do a prop show where we do 5 defensive props, 5 offensive props, and we end it with a DGen parlay. Hit a 56-1 last week, so make sure you guys check that out on Fridays. All right, y'all. Those are your top IDP injuries for the week. SGPN Football Doc signing off. Let's have a hell of a week. Let's win some money, baby.